Hello, I'm Steve. I'm the Thought PT. I work with dads to master their time and energy by building out their priorities, their systems, and their mental muscle to become the man and dad that they want to be. So today's video is about the old work-life balance, right? We always talk about work-life balance. And I have to admit, I have a terrible work-life balance, right? And it's not necessarily for the reason that you think. Because most of the guys and dads that come to me, that's the problem that they want to solve, right? So they want to be smashing at work or in the business, but also, want to spend some quality time with their kids at home and be in great condition and spend some great time with their wife and friends. But the more I've been on my self-development journey and the more I've thought about this, and after coaching lots of guys for hundreds of hours, this idea of balance between your work and life is sort of unachievable. It's this lofty thing that we've set for ourselves that you can't actually ever reach because your work and life aren't segmented, especially when you're a dad, right? Especially when you've got kids. Like, you can't just ignore the nursery text telling you to come and pick your daughter up. You can't just ignore the accident form popping in. Right? You can't just not go and pick up the formula milk for the baby in working hours. It sort of just has to be done. And the other way around as well. If you're running your own business or you're at director level, then there's always going to be overspill, right? And sometimes you don't actually want to stop thinking about work. I know for me, I like talking about some ideas over dinner with my wife so I can spitball things. So you don't necessarily want to do it, but yet we try and go towards this utopia of work-life balance. But what has sort of worked for me and has worked for my clients is, instead of work-life balance, thinking about work-life integration, right? So across your work and life, making sure you're doing the things that are most important to you in the time you want to do it, right? So this is really simple. So like the way I talk about it is be really clear on what your priorities are across your work and your life. So we can segment life, I suppose, into what I do anyway, is my health and relationships and the relationships with my, friends, my wife and my daughter. So that is life for me, right? So what I do is look at all of those elements and go, what are the priorities for me now? What are the priorities with me for all of these things? And then I take those priorities and then I build a system called my automatic action engine, which is effectively bespoke routine system structures that work for me and my priorities and where I am in my life right now to carry out the priorities that I want to carry out. So ultimately, spending some time thinking about the thing and then creating a system to implement the things that you want to achieve, the goals that you want to achieve, the priorities that you want to push forward. So I've stopped talking about work-life balance, and now I view my whole life as one. And I've started talking about work-life integration, right? So making sure that everything from my work and my life is integrated in the right space for me. So my life is different to yours, so your system is going to be different to mine. But the principles are the same, all right? So we want to be clear that we're spending the time on the things that we actually want to. So when you look at your work and your life, and your life has lots of different aspects of it, but it's usually your health, your relationships, your free time. For me, I use my tool, the gold standard tool, to work out what the priorities are for me across all of those aspects of work and life. What do I want to focus on for the next quarter, for the next week? What are the key things that are going to make me feel good about myself and get me on the path to becoming the man and dad that I want to be? And I focus on them, right? There's always going to be a million things, but you need to sort of narrow it down to the key priorities. And then once I have those, I then create my own automatic action engine. So this is a way to make consistency easy. These are systems, routine, and structures that are tailored just for me to help me implement these priorities in my life the way I want to implement those. So this helps make sure that I'm doing the right things for me at the right time. And it sounds really simple, and it is, right? It is, but it doesn't mean to say that it's easy, right? What we want to do here is sometimes you're going to have to make some hard choices. So I'm a big believer, and you can have anything that you want, but you just can't have it all at the same time, right? You just can't have it all at the same time. So there's going to be some hard choices in there. You're going to have to be really clear and brutal on what your priorities are for you now, not versus 10 years ago. Like on a Saturday night, 10 years ago, my main priority was getting a bottle of Buckfast for the cheapest price before I went to Inferno's in Clapham High Street. Whereas now that's definitely not the case, right? And you're going to have to trade off some priorities and some choices to what's the most important to you right now. And when you start implementing it in your automatic action engine, you end up seeing you've got a restricted amount of time, right? That's just the reality of life. So therefore, you've got to make sure that the priorities go in there are the most important ones to you. So again, this may result in trade-offs and hard choices. So like for me, I know that I could probably grow my business a little bit quicker if I spend less time with my daughter. But I don't want to, right? Because that's my priority right now. So therefore, I'm accepting of that. And it's a hard choice, right? It's a hard one to accept that your business could grow quicker, potentially. But I decide to do that. But on the other hand, sometimes I decide to work more, right? Instead of watching Netflix for a couple of hours some nights, I decide to work because that's a priority for me then. There's no right or wrong answer for this. It's just the right answer for you. So it's not around work-life balance. It's more around work-life integration, right? It's getting clear on your priorities, getting clear on what your gold standards are for yourself, and then implementing those priorities into your week and segmenting it in a way that you can carry out all your priorities. It's a philosophy that I like to call intentional autopilot. So being really clear on your intentions, but then living your life on autopilot after building all the systems that serve you. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Subscribe for the next video coming out, and I'll chat to you all soon. Cheers.